Alright, what is up, guys? Losing Manic here, the worst channel on YouTube. And what a great start. I do want to talk about, this is a review of the new Last of Us. Um, Before I get started, a couple of things. This is my opinion. I understand that the game is, a lot of people don't like it. Alright, this is purely my opinion. If that's something you can't respect, sorry, you gotta go. Because this is probably, this may not be an opinion you agree with, or maybe a lot of you guys, and I'm very surprised, may actually agree with my opinion. Second of all, I am going a bit off script a bit, so even though I try not to, beware of spoilers just in case. Um, I do go off script, and there are some stuff I do want to talk about, and I might risk some spoilers. So if you haven't played the game yet, or maybe you have but you aren't at a certain part yet, or whatever, you don't want to be spoiled with it because maybe your favorite YouTuber is at a part that they haven't reached yet, then just be cautious. I'll try my best not to, but if it does happen, at least you've been warned. All right. So Last of Us 2. Before I go and talk about it, or but before I go into any details, what do I think about it? I actually really enjoyed it. There were some parts that I'll get into that I find was unnecessary, that they should have done a bit more to it. While I do understand the reason behind it, I just find it they're completely unnecessary. Um, but overall, there are some stuff that actually, I can't really give anything negative at the start. Not until I talk about it fully. Um, as a music fan, the music in there is by far, or like really amazing. I don't know why I said by far. Is amazing. I did pre-order it. Fun fact, my birthday was the 18th of June, as you guys can tell by the date. And it came out the next day. So that means for my birthday, I got to pre-order it, which was after I beat it, the greatest present I might have ever received, because I actually, it was really good. That's all I can say without spoiling it straight off the bat. Now, speaking of spoilers, let's get into the topics, um, or the story, I guess, because a lot of people, I think a lot of people like the first Last of Us because of the story. So this, again, I'll try not to spoil anything, but if just be cautious that I'll try, even though I try my best not to, it's just gonna have to happen. Or if it accidentally happens, I'm sorry. Um, so this is kind of the part that I will explain what I didn't like about it. So let me just start by saying you do play as two characters. You play as Ellie and some bitch named Abby. You guys can tell by the fact that I called her a bitch. I do not like her at all. Um, she killed someone very near and dear to I think everyone, but or at least to us. And this is The Last of Us, or this Last of Us was the first game that ever made me cry. I know I sound like a bitch, but I'm one of those people that gets attached to characters. I'm not like, oh, they're there, awesome. No, in games like these, I get attached to them, which is either a problem or it's supposed to happen. But that's how I play. A lot of you guys may think I'm weird for being attached to a character. I don't doubt you. I don't think anyone is supposed to. But yeah. So there are two different. I consider them like, besides the prologue and the epilogue. I don't know which one's which. I think prologue is before, and then epilogue is after. If it's not, then anytime I talk about prologue or epilogue, prologue is first. If epilogue is first, then I'm sorry. I don't know what else to call them. So So, besides between the prologue and the epilogue, there is like two halves. There's like the Ellie half, and then there's like the Abby half. The Abby half for me is completely unnecessary. Because even even though like you follow Ellie through most of it, or like the first half, I would understand why they would want to have the Abby half, but just have like the beginning that made her do what she did. That's vague, but I'm trying not to spoil anything for people who actually want to watch the review without being spoiled. Uh, but instead of telling us why she did what she did, they had to make it because Abby and Ellie's path meet more than once. But whenever you do Ellie's half after the prologue, Abby and Ellie meet at Ellie's base, home base in Seattle. Um, and and instead of moving on from there, this is so hard to do without spoilers, without revealing spoilers, because I don't want to like get shit in the comments for spoiling the game, even though I gave spoiler alerts. So just if it's hard to understand, just understand why. Um, because even though I'm an asshole, I do the gaming community is one of those I really care about. So like if it's like a movie, I would definitely spoil the hell out of that because fuck your feelings. I'm not a movie person, or if it's a TV show, I'll spoil that. But gaming is one of those that I'm very serious about. So, anyways, I'm going all over the place. um, but anyway, so once Abby meets Ellie at her home base after realizing what she's done, after Abby realizes what Ellie has done, well, it's especially on Ellie's side, that's when the whole Abby backstory starts. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't really matter. Although I do, in a sense, I do sort of now think of this review. There is a reason I think there is a reason why they made it the way it is. Is because they introduced a character on Abby's half that we learn that kind of helps the series and keeps it going. Now this is a long ass game. I with the first Last of Us, if you pulled an all nighter, you'd be really close to finishing. But with me, if by the time you got it, whenever at the same time I did and pulled an all nighter, you would be maybe close to halfway done. And that's a maybe. I'm not good with time. So it is a pretty long game. I do have notes. I did keep notes with someone for a relative of mine who doesn't really play video games, but was told about the Last of Us series, and so I explained the plot of it to the first game to her. And now I just wrote down anything important, which kind of ruined the experience. I understand that, but I mean, I still get the experience either way. I try and type fast. I mean, I don't lose the experience I got. Sorry, I woke up maybe an hour ago, so if I feel weird or if I look disgusting, I want to get this out there while it's still fresh and all my opinions are out there. So anyway, they do introduce a character in the Abby section, but the thing I don't like is once you do Abby's section, this is where spoilers start coming in. You have to beat up Ellie as Abby, and I cannot stand Abby in the slightest. So after we learn the backstory of what made Abby do what she did to, or for the start at the prologue of the game, there's like different chapters, but like the prologue is the whole of it. the prologue is what happens that kind of sets the theme for the rest of the game. Um, what Abby did at the prologue, in her backstory explains that, and she was around during the first game. Um, but it should have just to me they should have just kept it there. But I understand that. But what happened to her, I felt no remorse over because of what she did, and I felt, and again, I always say I feel mostly attached to characters in these games. I don't know if that's the point. Like, you're supposed to feel attached to these characters. That's what makes those type of games good, because you feel attached to those characters, and then after a while something happens, and then you feel bummed out, depressed, whatever. If that's the case, then that's completely understandable. Um, but there were some in the Abby section there should have been parts that they changed. Especially the part where you fight Ellie. Because because after the prologue, I started growing attached to Ellie because the first game I could not stand her, but then later on as you travel with Ellie in the first game, you start to like. I don't know if like a lot of people hated her in whenever you first meet her in like their first game, and then after a while, like you start to like feel a certain connection with her, and you just start appreciating her and start liking her and all that. If not, then I'm sorry if I felt the same. I felt that way. Like I wasn't a fan of her because I don't really like kids. But but then after a while I started to like grow attached to her. Like she's a part of the family that I'm not a part of. But and then like during the second game where I have to like beat the shit out of Ellie, I felt really bad about that because it felt like beating up a friend, I guess. But overall, I did that was the one part I did not like after the prologue. There was, well, aside from like all of Abby's quests or the levels or missions or whatever it is, but there was, I just felt bad, and then afterwards Abby says like, so there's this character Lev that you meet in Abby's perspective of the game. You're cuz okay, major spoilers. I'm going to go off track. I'm not going to reveal like the main spoiler in the prologue, but I am going to start revealing different spoilers. So after Abby did what she did, Ellie tries to go and hunt down Abby. Tries to, as she goes after either Abby's friends or like co-workers, because Abby's part of the WLF, which I think was like a disbanded group of Fireflies. I think I'm very slow when it comes to games like these, so I only pay attention to the story rather than the information. And that's why I play games like that again. I absorb the story, figure out what happened, and then I absorb information, kind of make just that way it makes sense, which kind of explains which now that I think about it, Abby's side kind of makes sense. It's just completely unnecessary. But anyway, so Ellie goes after informants of the WLF looking for Abby, but then once she does, she learns that she goes to an aquarium, or that's where, not necessarily where she lives, but that's where she goes a lot of the times. And so Ellie heads there, and then that's when she meets Owen, and I guess his girlfriend, even though Owen and Abby are like on and off in the relationship. Um, but she uses those two to get information as to where Abby is. By ways of what Tommy did whenever they was, because Tommy is also after Abby as well. So she uses a tactic that Tommy used, which was you have two people, and you ask them one question, and you ask them the question that you want answered, and if they give you one and they give you an answer, if the other person, and then so you get the other person, you ask them the same question. If they give you different answers, they're lying. But if they give you the same answers, they are telling the truth, and therefore they get to live. Oh, by the way, people who lie die. That wasn't obvious by the fact that I said they get to live whenever they told the truth. But instead of Owen and Mel, the pregnant friend in the game, instead of cooperating, Owen decides to fight back, which causes Ellie to kill Owen and pregnant Mel. And I say pregnant Mel because that's a major point in the game, is that Ellie killed Abby's pregnant friend. Sorry, I'm tired. So anytime I miss, or I got Ellie and Abby confused. I am so sorry. I just those names to me are very similar because they're both short. They both end in like vowel sounds, although I guess a lot of names do. So it's hard for, and I'm terrible with names anyways. And then so Ellie's been using a map to kind of keep track of where Abby or the informants are, or the friends are. And then so she leaves a map there, and then we learn on Abby's perspective, or if you go to Ellie's perspective, you hear Tommy get tackled, and you go out and it's just Abby's at the theater that Ellie and her girlfriend used to set up shop. I'll talk about the girlfriend a little bit for some of you guys who don't know. Anyway, so in Abby's perspective, she learns that Owen and Mel are dead, and then the kid Lev, who I talked about earlier, who's important later on in this story, although I think I kind of explained why, sees the map that Ellie had, and so Lev gives the map to Abby, and Lev's like, here, do with this what you will. Not his exact words. And then Abby figures out the location, breaks and enters breaks into the theater. At this point, that is their home. They are squatting on it. That is their home. So she's breaking into their home, even though it's totally fine. It's the apocalypse. But she's breaking into their home, killing a friend of theirs, and so we get caught up to where the backstory started. Abby's backstory started where we kind of left off. And then that's when we fight Ellie. But then Ellie's girlfriend, pregnant girlfriend, keep that in mind. Because that is also that's another important detail in there, kind of leading towards the end of it. So as you're fighting Ellie, shamefully or shamelessly, depending on who you are, I don't judge. I felt very bad because, like I mentioned before, Ellie's like one of my favorite characters. Well, now she is, now that I played the second one. Joel was my favorite in the first one, and then after a while, I think Ellie starts becoming my favorite. Which I was looking through the trailers, I thought she would be a mom. She looked like a mom in the trailers and the photos I've seen, so I was like, huh, maybe she's a mom, because I also saw that she had a guitar, so maybe she's a mom and she's playing music for her kid, but that information is going to be important later on. And so after they reached a point where they're both like physically broken, or Abby's just about to kill Ellie, Ellie's pregnant girlfriend comes in, hurts Abby, and then Abby gets a grip of Ellie's girlfriend Dina. That'll make it easier than just saying Ellie's girlfriend every time. Ellie's girlfriend Dina um, puts a knife up to her neck, and then Ellie, for some reason, said like, "Oh, she's pregnant," not realizing that she would have, and that Abby wouldn't have sympathy since Ellie killed killed Abby's pregnant friend. So it would only seem fair, which is completely understandable. But overall, I just think it was a weird thing to do, like say, "Oh, she's pregnant," completely regarding the fact that she killed Abby's pregnant friend, thinking she would have sympathy, or maybe she will understand that like hey, what I did was wrong. Nope, it doesn't happen. Instead, Abby decides to try and kill Dina before Lev comes in and guilt. No, he doesn't really say anything. He just guilts her, which is really. Abby's a buff dude. Is a buff person. She looks like she belongs to like P90X videos or like in the MMA octagon. Is that what the MMA is? It's like a little octagon. I don't watch that stuff, but she looks like she belongs in like MMA or like WWE, and yet a little kid makes her feel guilty. That's the weirdest shit ever. You know, it's I don't know about you, but if I was buff as fuck, or ripped, or as buff as she is, I wouldn't feel guilty. I wouldn't think like a little kid would guilt me. Now, I do find it a bit weird as to why Abby let Dina go, even though Ellie didn't let Mel go. But I'm not the creator of the game. It doesn't matter. What matters is that Ellie and Dina are alive. And then I think fast forward, I think 9 months, 9 or 10 months, or I don't know. I don't know kid age. I don't know the kid's age, but he looks old enough to be, so maybe 11 to maybe a year, even though it's not stated. Although Lev does look a bit different in sort of like I guess that would be the epilogue at that point. And the epilogue, as I'll call it. But before anything happens, before Abby and Lev leave the theater, leaving Ellie and Dina and Tommy intact, I thought he died, but he's well alive. Abby says, we do not look for each other. You don't look for me, I don't look for you. Leave us alone. We're fine. We'll be fine. So then fast forward those months. I'll say 10 months, just that way it's better understanding. Dina gave birth to her son. Ellie and Dina are taking care of him. And everything's completely normal, even though I'm paranoid out my ass, wondering what the fuck is gonna happen. And then sure enough, something happens. Ellie made Tudor promise that once all this is over, they'll live on a farm, be happy. So one day, as Ellie's herding sheep, she gets a flashback of what happened in the prologue. And it bothers the hell out of her. And then so Tommy shows up one day and he's like, I found Abby. Which raises a few red flags, because I thought Tommy knew that they weren't supposed to chase after her, but apparently not. And then I won't spoil what happened in the epilogue because I think it's dumb, but I will say it ends with Ellie's 2 fingers getting chewed off. Dina and her son JJ and all of Dina's belongings are out of the house. And I know some of you guys who played it You probably don't mind that I'm talking about it, but it's like I said, it's such a long game. I'll be just like it'll be like me describing you guys what the game is, or like what happens in the game. Like this happens and then this happens. I don't want to do that because that ruins the experience. So, god dang, I wish I could go back out. And I would say I will be using experience ruining spoilers if that's something you don't want to turn back, but whatever. I feel like a lot of people who played the first one probably have the second one because they probably got notified of it ahead of time, like, hey, this is what's happening. If you played the first one, then you should give the second one a try. But I did say to myself that whenever I got it, the moment I was able to play it, I would stay up all night playing it, and I would not stop until I beat it. That was a lie because in one of Abby's things, I got so stressed out by it, I had to get off. It's like 4:30 in the morning. I lost no sleep because I was so stressed out and so annoyed by the section I was on. And I don't know if you guys have ever been so stressed out you started crying, which oddly enough, that's what broke me. That's what stressed me out to tears. Was it? It was so dumb that I'm pretty sure if I go back and do it, it'll be like 10 times easier. But I'm not going to be talking about the enemies because the enemies are pretty basic. You do have the runners, clickers, even with some, I think some new ones. I might have to go back and play. I thought about going back and playing the first one, see what they added, what enemies they added, what enemies they removed. I have a feeling they did remove one or two in there. But then there's I call them Squidwards, even though I learned they're pack rats. And the reason I call them Squidwards without revealing too much, because it reminded me of that scene from like at the ending of SpongeBob, or that episode of SpongeBob where like all the characters fuse into Squidward, and then the episode ends with Squidward in like a therapy class, and he's like, it all started when I was born, and you just see like all the characters looking like a big chewed up gum, like a massive ball of gum that's been chewed up and like placed on Squidward, and he looks pregnant as fuck. That's what it reminded me of, so I called them Squidward. And I say Squidward and not Squidwards because there's only one. Thank God, there's only one of those in the entire game. For good reason. That bitch is hard to kill. Shit is hard to kill because I guess I should call them amalgamations because they're like an amalgamation of, I think, stalkers and bloaters, or whatever, staggers. Although I guess it's bloaters because, and you know you've made it because one of the enemies falls off it like a tree branch, or like tree bark. Whenever like take bark and you rip it out, it was something like that. Although if the tree was bloody, makes sense. So, overall, I will say a really amazing game. Again, my opinion. If you don't like it, totally fine. If you're gonna harass me by my opinion, that's a completely different story. I understand that people can't have opinions on the internet nowadays because everyone thinks you're fucking wrong because apparently they're under the age of 3 and can't understand what a fucking opinion is. I know I'm aggressive. Opinion is one of those I take seriously because I'm a very opinionated person, and if I get harassed for that, it bothers the fuck out of me. So, yeah, I did pre-order the game. I did get to see the art of it. Some of the designs in there, the art of it is absolutely amazing. And with the pre-order, you got like, depending on which one you got, there's like different ones you could get. You could have like the minimum one, and I got the maximum one because I'm greedy as fuck. And I got the soundtrack for it, so once I'm done here, I might give the soundtrack a listen, see what that's like. Because I am a music fan, that's just what happened, or that's what happens. Especially if you're me, if there's a soundtrack for a game, you gotta listen to it. Um, so yeah, that's my opinion on the game. I would say story wise, it's pretty good. Gameplay, sucks, but again, that's me. I'm terrible at video games. At least I think so. A lot of people say you're pretty good. You're not as terrible as you think you are, but I'm the worst at video. I'm terrible at video games. So, yeah, if you're more of a story person, then maybe this. It would take a lot for me to hate a video game. Um, which is why a lot of the games I like them, or story based games. I have like stuff that doesn't progress anywhere, or it's just like a do your own thing. No story given. It's like BMX and baseball and all that. Even though I don't play those anymore. But story based wise, it's you would have to mess something up for, or you would have to do something for me to hate your game. So in a sense, my opinion probably means nothing, because I enjoy story games, especially like pick your own adventure games. That's why I like games like Fallout, or I forgot what else. And that's what I was hoping for, was at the end you get to pick, um because something happens in the epilogue, and I was hoping you can pick who you side with, but I guess that wouldn't really help, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people would. God, oh, I almost spoiled there. I'm not gonna say what I thought. I don't want to spoil too much of it. I did want to give like minor spoilers, not major end game spoilers, or spoilers of the epilogue and prologue, because those are very, very significant um, endings. A lot of the ones I said are major, but not as major as the prologue and epilogue stuff. So, yeah. Overall, long story short, I'm gonna wrap this video up. I really enjoyed it. I hope some of you guys did too. And if you guys didn't, let me know in the comment section down below why. I'm trying to figure out why people didn't like it. I love the game, and it's so hard for me. It bothers me when people say they didn't like it, because then I start to feel bad or feel like an idiot because I enjoy something that a lot of people didn't, and I'm not trying to fit in. It's just the way I am. So if you guys didn't like it, if you guys didn't like it, let me know in the comment section down below as to why. And if you did, let me know what your favorite part was. I'd love to hear from you guys, because I don't I don't know. I like having discussions a whole lot. Um Even if my opinions mean nothing to you, or you don't like my opinion, if you're willing to accept my opinion, then I'd love to have a conversation. And I enjoy those conversations, because it brings me hope to the fact that maybe there are some people out there who respect those opinions. So, and make sure, anyway, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below what you thought of The Last of Us. If there's anything you would have changed about it. Um, personally, like I said before, some of the Abby section as a whole, I would have changed, or I would have done it with like the flashbacks, because you do get flashbacks in the game. I would have made it sort of like the flashbacks as opposed to like playing as Abby, because kind of like with the whole Last of Us one, where it's like winter, spring, summer, and fall. They go by Seattle day 1, day 2, and day 3, kind of leading from the prologue. That's that's why I say like there's prologues and then there's epilogues, because you have Ellie and then Seattle 1, 2, and 3, and then you have Abby and then Seattle 1, 2, and 3. Um, that's why. Which is weird. Abby's off doing her own thing, but Ellie is strictly trying to hunt Abby, which is funny, but I think it's dumb. So I would say like, kind of do the Abby stories as, I would have done it as like flashbacks, kind of like what we did, kind of like what we have with Ellie at certain parts. We have we have her birthday with Joel and some museum and all that. It was really awesome, and I think they should have done that with Abby as opposed to just giving her an entire fucking backstory, or instead of just having her backstory, and then have her hunt that one person that she's looking for. Yikes. Fuck. Might have messed up. Oh well, doesn't matter. I almost said fuck you guys. I'm not like that. So yeah, anyways, I know I'm trying to end this video already, but again, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to let me know by leaving a like or leaving a comment section down below if you didn't like, because dislikes mean fucking nothing in this, in YouTube. You should be able, what we should do from now on is dislike, and then have like a little thing of, care to explain why you dislike the video, instead of just leaving a dislike and fucking leaving, you know. But if you did not like this video up to the point where you leave a dislike, please leave a dislike. I want to know. But yeah, that is my opinion on The Last of Us. A very controversial opinion from what I've seen on the internet. If you don't like my opinion, that's fine. If you're gonna argue with me about it, that's a different story, and I'll hope your day's fucking ruined. Anyways, Loser Maniac, piece of shit on the internet, out.